the remains of Raila Amolo Odinga. This is Kisumu Airport, and of course security has been beefed up. Ourselves gaining access to this particular spot wasn't so easy. We had to beg our way in, and actually not everyone is allowed in here. Fine, people are just gathered at the gate, but access to the airport is so limited. Only some elected leaders are allowed in, and particularly not even their bodyguards, just the elected leaders are allowed in their own way. And that tells you the manner of security, the security level that is beefed, that is being exhibited here today. We continue giving you coverage of whatever is happening here straight away from the Kisumu International Airport, where the body of Raila Amolo Odinga still lies here. And we will know whether we will go by road to Mamboleo for the public viewing, or the body will be airlifted straight away to Mamboleo. All that we will know in the next few minutes after the consultation that is going on there is concluded. If it is by road, then trust us to give you coverage, one by one pictures of the procession that will be leading here from the airport all the way to Mamboleo. Or if it is to be airlifted, we have our team already there at the Mamboleo to give you, to beam to you live the entry of the body into the stadium for public viewing. Meanwhile, continue keeping it KBC Channel 1 for the extensive coverage of the events here as they fold. My name is Wycliffe Okech here at the Kisumu International Airport.
Thank you so much. That is our very own Wycliffe Okech at the Kisumu International Airport. You can see the governor of Homa Bay, Gladys Wanga, already there. And also, I'm sure Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir, the governor of Mombasa, is also there, given the leaders of the ODM party steering this particular exercise. And they were named as members of this the State Funeral Committee that is co-chaired by the Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki, as well as the Senator of CI, and now currently the acting party leader of ODM, that is Dr. Oburu Oginga. And you've just heard there from Wycliffe that the military is currently in consultation with other state agencies and the leadership of Kisumu and other and ODM organs if they will airlift that particular body from the Kisumu International Airport all the way to Mamboleo grounds. Given that we showed you a little bit earlier on how people have converged the Kondele roundabout, and Wycliffe has just affirmed to us that outside the Kisumu International Airport a large crowd has already gathered. So that is what they are trying to assess. They do not want to witness what happened between JKIA all the way when the body was carried to Kasarani Stadium. After the goal shifted, the plans were to ensure that the body was taken to Lee for some few minutes. Then after it is being preserved and assessed, taken to now the Parliament buildings, where normally the public viewing of a former head of state and now the ODM leader Raila Amolo Odinga was made history as the first person in this country to be accorded such a stature by the sitting president currently, that is President William Ruto. That is where they view the bodies of the people who have served this country greatly, but that did not happen. The body was taken to Kasarani Stadium, where the people at least got a chance to view the body. If you're just joining us, our reporter Wycliffe Okech is currently on the ground and has affirmed to us that there are some consultations that are currently ongoing there to assess if they will take the body via road, what we witnessed here in the capital, or via air. It will be airlifted to Mamboleo grounds, and we witnessed what was happening outside and inside Mamboleo grounds already. We witnessed a little bit earlier on. I hope Wycliffe will also get the sound bites of the governors who have already converged, if they have the time, that is, to talk to members of the press. So we continue with our wall-to-wall coverage of the Enigma, who many have touted now to be a legend, who has been etched in our country's historical grounds. And of course, the main key question, Millie, we wanted to know, as well as especially the crowd and the supporters and the mourners, is people will be keeping a very keen eye on what will happen tomorrow, especially by the state. Already the state has done more for the Odinga family. This is a state funeral accorded, the first of its kind. other perks has been ensured that the family gets, so that this can be an easier burden for them and for the supporters and mourners as well. What people are keeping an eye on tomorrow is whether the family or the state will decide to have a mausoleum or a museum for Odinga, given that he has done more for our country.
I believe that would be a good move, and I would not be surprised if the President Ruto did that. And I say this because, well, we have seen what he has done this far.
Yes.
That's one. Two, we also know that in one way or another, this truly has been his brother in the journey, in the political journey, one way or another. So other than just the love for the nation, the presidency, I think his past relationship with Raila may lead him to want to do that. In fact, given that it is not him who named the road here in Nairobi, he would also want to have something that would be remembered with his presidency as having been given as a national something, like the road that President Kenyatta renamed from Bagati Way to Raila Odinga Road. He would also want to have something that people would be able to say, this was a mausoleum that was established by President Ruto then in memory of Raila. And I think it would be a good thing. It would be a good thing if that was to happen, because Raila was very keen on passing on the historical knowledge and information at whichever forum he was in. And you'll find that most of the politicians who have been around him and who have been working closely with him are very keen on history. One of them is my own brother. Yes. My own brother, who's a member of the party and has been even an elected councillor at that time under Raila's party. He's become very keen on history and recording of history, and I think that is something that he may have picked from his relations with Raila. Raila was always telling people, so it would be important to ensure that that history that he gave, that it is built and that it is sealed and it is fostered for generations to come, because sometimes we forget and sometimes we tweak the truth to suit our circumstances, but when it is stored in a place that cannot be changed, you will just have to learn the history as it was recorded then.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. You can see both images of the Mamboleo grounds and Kisumu International Airport. Those are the venues that we are keeping a close eye on, especially we can inform you, of course, with a surety that the coffin that is currently housing the ODM leader Raila Odinga has not left that aircraft of the Kenya Air Force. It will be brought out any moment from now. I can see Wycliffe is preparing to have interviews. We'll be according him that particular opportunity, but there you have it. Millie, you can see the stadium is already full to the brim. That is Mamboleo grounds, but yet we saw people on that trek, the road leading to Mamboleo grounds. People are still walking in their numbers to that stadium. So in terms of containing the people and supporters and mourners in this particular stadium will be a Herculean task for the security forces, which they said they're up to. Now let me take you to the Kisumu International Airport once more, to our very own, that is Wycliffe. Wycliffe, thank you so much for joining us once more. Give us your view, tell us how many leaders have arrived there so far, and what is their decision? Have they decided to airlift it or go via road?
Well, Abdi, thank you once again. That decision is yet to be made. We've seen the leaders, the elected leaders that have arrived here. I've seen them in groups also just speaking into that matter. But we know that that is a military affair, and we can see the security detail just by the plane that is for the consultation that is going on. So we cannot tell whether they will transport the body by road or by air. But we'll know that shortly here. Regarding the leaders that have arrived, I can see the elected leaders. We have the governor of Homa Bay, like you mentioned, Governor Wanga is here. Ambassador Fred Outa, that is the Kenyan ambassador to Egypt. We also have the MP for Kisumu West. We can also see the MP for Embakasi East, that is Babu Wino, just among the many leaders that have arrived here to receive this body, and as they accompany it to Jomo Kenyatta International Stadium, that is Mamboleo, for the public viewing. But we've seen so many leaders across the country, beyond the borders, pouring tributes for Raila Odinga. And right with me here, I have the governor of Busia County, that is Dr. Paul Otuoma. Basically, Governor, if you can just move here, look at the camera, share with our viewers. Raila was someone that you've worked with so long. Probably you may want to tell us what is it that you attribute mostly to Raila Odinga, and what are you going to miss mostly about him?
Yeah, as you put it very clearly, Raila has been part and parcel of our journey. When I started voting, my first vote in 1992, I voted for Raila in Langata. So we have had a very long journey. The whole of our political life, he is the only person we have known, all the way from multi-party, our university days, our political career now, and even up to the time we are going to celebrate ODM at 20. So Raila has stood for some values that this country really needed. The democratic space, accountability, the unity of preservation of the unity of the country. And definitely he has held our hand up to this point, but we still needed him, especially with the challenges that you see the country has been undergoing. I think he was still having a lot to contribute, but you know, sometimes it's God's will. The only way to make sure that we don't let him down is to make sure that his spirit continues to live with us. We should make sure that we continue to fight for Maisha Bora for Kenyans. And as you also saw, he was a Pan-Africanist. So it's not just Maisha Bora for Kenyans, but it's Maisha Bora for Africans and for the global society.
Maisha Bora comes through various reforms. What specific reform will you are mostly proud about Raila Odinga? What's that role that is so vital in your opinion?
The most vital thing that people don't realize is that the freedom we enjoy today, the democracy we enjoy, the ability to question government and to hold government to account, the building of our institutions to make sure that the assembly is working, the Senate is working, our governance, the executive is working. If you remember, even one of his last speeches that we'll remember was during the parliamentary group meeting, where he talked about, our institutions being able, to work on behalf of Kenyan people. If you are the Senate, please work for the people. If you are the National Assembly, please. If you are the executive, we people who are also products of devolution, which came about because of the constitution Raila fought so hard for. Devolution meant that we should be able to make decisions at local level on things that affect people on day to day. So these are kind of things that we will never be able to forget Raila when the history of this country is written. And for those of us who have worked very close with him, is just to make sure that we keep the torch burning.
In the larger scheme of things, just paint for us a picture of what gap and void Raila leaves behind.
I think the biggest void for me now, having been our party leader, you can see, even ODM, we have to call our members to be very resilient because that gap, there was no proper succession plan. So we have to reorganize ourselves to make sure that we are able to organize the party, because our politics are organized around parties, which also Raila embraced. The other one, that the country was undergoing still a lot of challenges, and the elections are not very far away. We expected that we would have healed the country and again reorganized our politics to nationalism before just now, like what has happened. So that gap, you remember a lot of politicians have been saying that he has been the stabilizing force within the current government, which is also true, not just the government, but in the country. We had challenges, you remember, the other year, last year or so. But at the end of the day, we can only sort those challenges when there is the nation called Kenya. In absence of that nation called Kenya, how do we solve those challenges? And I think this is one thing that Raila was very clear about, that first of all, we must preserve the country, we must have peace, then we must have dialogue. Even you remember he was talking of the conclave. He has talked of building bridges. He has talked of the NADICO report. All these are just efforts to make Kenyans speak. But sometimes people misconstrue them. People think sometimes it's just confrontation. No. But you remember he has been trying to initiate those negotiations and Kenyans talking to each other.
Fine. Before we get to the politics of ODM, because yesterday I saw CS Wandai also speaking to the ODM matters, but before we get into that, you've had a close relationship with Raila. From us in the public face, probably one thing that you may tell us that you think the public still doesn't know about Raila Odinga.
I think one thing that maybe the public didn't know about Raila is even the way he decided that his funeral should be conducted. Raila was a people's person, but Raila also didn't believe that, sometimes we need to burden the country. The country also, we needed to reform our lives. We need to live our lives. You need to give each one an opportunity, to grow and expand. You remember he was a very big protector of vulnerable groups, be they communities, be they the gender, be they the children. That's one thing that really softened Raila's heart wherever he was dealing with those kind of matters. So that is one thing on one side that I think sometimes people saw the tough Raila, our commander, our Baba, our leader, Jeshi la Baba. But on the other side, Raila was a family person. Raila was a very compassionate person wherever you had an issue with him. I remember when I was starting my politics, I had a lot of problems, and sometimes he could accommodate me. He could make sure that my matters get to the parliament, my issues go to court. He would hire lawyers. He would order Kenorengo to be my lawyers. You have had so many people, even young Kenyans, who say he paid their school fees when some of them ran into problems with the laws as they existed at that time. You remember Raila was there for them to make sure, those who are detained are released, the student movement. You have had all these things. So that was the other side of Raila, that personal touch.
And now just speaking briefly about the ODM affairs, Raila was the party leader of ODM for the last 20 years. Just briefly as we conclude, because I know you want to join your colleagues on the other side. Yesterday we saw and heard CS Wandai, who is also he said he's a life member of the ODM party, that Raila left ODM in the government through the broad-based arrangement. Yes. And from where you stand, ODM, do you think is going to experience some conflict going forward?
I think, as you heard earlier, being a democratic party, some people had different views, but we always say we must be tolerant and accommodative of each other. Some of us truly believe, like I have told you, there was very big reason why Raila made the decision he made. The only issue he was saying is that we may not have a structured political arrangements. But for the sake of the country, we are all Kenyans. We have got this kind of engagement, what we are calling the broad-based government. But ODM as a party had not had proper negotiations in terms of coalition and all this with Kwanza, Kenya Kwanza. And he said that time when it comes, we'll cross the bridge when we are there. But definitely, the milestone that Raila said is that the country is more important than anybody else. And us working together was more important. And remember, a lot of time these politicians, we work together. Even William Ruto is also just a founder member of ODM. So many other people, Kalonzo, we were with them in ODM before they left. So at the end of the day, what is important? What are our values as a nation? So for now, the fact that Raila thought it was good for us to have a broad-based government, I tend to think that's where we should continue to be as we think through the process as to how now in the future we are going to engage.
Today is the viewing body for the locals this side. Have you come alone? Have you come with your people from Busia?
Yes, we have come with a lot of people from Busia, but there are also so many people who will be going to Bondo. And as I said, we may not be able to satisfy everybody. Those who will be able to do it here today will do. And those who will be able to do it in Bondo will do. Like now, from here myself, I will be going to Bondo to do Teruboru. I want to take my cows there. My people are already taking some cows there. So we'll have to take some cows to the homestead. Just the traditional way of mourning. I know the time has been short, but there's a big delegation from Busia that is going this afternoon to be doing Teruboru there in Bondo. And then tomorrow we expect again another very big delegation that is going to pay their last respects.
Apparently, I think the decision is made and the board has now been brought outside. And Governor, I will let you to join your colleagues on the other side. Thank you so much for making time for us. Well, the scenes you're seeing in the scenes on your screen right now, that is the body of Raila Odinga that is now brought outside, and I believe probably they have made a decision whether this will be taken there by road or by air. And apparently it looks like it will be taken there by a plane. Maybe it won't go by the roadside. So that means the locals that have gathered here at the gate or to this airport will not have a chance, as the body will now be, apparently it will be taken to Mamboleo for public viewing by air, and you can see the procession that is now going on here at the Kisumu International Airport. The body of Raila Odinga moving. This, remember, I told you this is a military affair, and the procession that is clearly shown on your screen right now, that is the body of Raila Odinga. I'm waiting to see whether that body will be taken to the plane for airlifting into Mamboleo Stadium. But keep it Channel 1 as we can basically show you everything that goes on here live from the ground.
Well, what you're just witnessing right now is that the funeral committee leaders, some of them, as well as top organs of the Kenya Defence Forces, have decided to airlift the body of the ODM leader Raila Amolo Odinga, as opposed to using the gun carriage that was used here in the capital to traverse or snake it through the capital. But that will not be the case in Kisumu. But our reporter Wycliffe has just informed us that many had already gathered outside the Kisumu International Airport awaiting for that procession to start, given to the strict timelines that has been given to give people as well as ample time to view the body, given that the government clearly stated that at exactly few minutes past 8, the body is expected at Mamboleo grounds, to give people ample time. You can see that is a chopper that will be airlifting the body of the ODM Premier Raila Amolo Odinga that will land exactly at the Mamboleo grounds. We also do have our cameras there as and when it arrives there, given that it is just a few minutes from the Kisumu International Airport. You were seeing our very own Wycliffe just conversing with the Busia governor, that is Paul Otuoma, in terms of what he was able to learn as a leader from the ODM leader Raila Amolo Odinga. Now, that particular convoy consists of the Kenya Army, the Navy and the Air Force, given that it is a state funeral. It is overseen by KDF. We are trying to get a better angle for you. Of course, the security operators are coordinating in this effort, especially with the National Police Service. You can see on your screen as well, Mamboleo grounds is already packed to the brim. We're trying to get you a better angle. That is the aircraft. More importantly, know that this is the aircraft that will carry the body of the ODM leader Raila Amolo Odinga's remains, be airlifted to Mamboleo grounds. Already, even the members of the cloth as well as the sheikh who are preparing to pray for the body, of course, to carry out a small ceremony there at the Kisumu International Airport, were airlifted as well to Mamboleo grounds, so they're preparing there. The KDF is trying to place the body inside the casket, I should say, inside that particular aircraft so that it can be airlifted. Members of the committee of the funeral organization committee, spearheaded by the Deputy President and Dr. Oburu Oginga, the Senator of Siaya. Some of them are already here, including the Governor of Mombasa, Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir, as well as Gladys, the Governor of Homa Bay, are currently overseeing this particular exercise, working hand in hand with the various security operators. They're placing now the casket inside. You can see inside the aircraft belongs to the Kenya Air Force, working in tandem with the Kenya Army and Navy. This is an exercise that has been coordinated by the CDF General Kariri himself and the various generals leading the Kenya Army, Navy and Air Force. So any moment from now, that particular chopper will be landing at Mamboleo grounds. The casket is already inside. And unfortunately, the people who had already gathered outside the Kisumu International Airport I'm sure they will be informed to go to the stadium directly, Millie, because they wanted to do the same thing they did here at JKIA.
Yes, like I was saying earlier, at least the leaders are tried and seen in various platforms,
yes,
trying to tell them that please go to Mamboleo, because that is where the body will land, and that is where you'll be able to view. So I think it's a good thing, because we are already running about 15 minutes behind schedule.
Yes.
If we are to be strictly on time as anticipated, that is 15 minutes of viewer time. If yesterday's process was anything to go by, that is almost 1,000 people who would have already viewed in the 15 minutes, because of the speed with which that the military was allowing the crowd to pass through,
yes,
in order to view. We would have already covered quite a good number of people, particularly given the volume we are seeing already at the stadium. My concern is, I'm wondering what strategy, I believe they must have a strategy they have in place to ensure that there will be a good flow, whether they will ask people to vacate and whether people will listen, or how the viewing will be done. It will be interesting to see that, because there should be much order.
Yes, 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 but surely when they bring the body in, do you think people will go outside that particular stadium and start lining up?
That's the thing. If they're airlifting, by now they should have already removed people, unless there's a different strategy.
Now we can also tell you that those people have already been informed by now that the body will not be snaking through the great city of Kisumu, because many people had already not only converged outside the Kisumu International Airport, but at the Kondele roundabout as well. They were waiting, given that that is a particular stretch that the convoy was expected to use. But right now, if you're joining us, good morning, our viewers, the body, or rather the casket that is carrying the body of the ODM leader Raila Odinga has already been placed in that particular aircraft you're seeing on your screen. It will be airlifted from the Kisumu International Airport to the grounds you're already seeing, already full to capacity at the Mamboleo grounds. It will be taken there. It will be airborne any moment from now, and then taken to the Mamboleo grounds, where people will be having an opportunity. But before people start viewing the body, there will be a short ceremony, especially led by the religious leaders there, to pray for the body and to pray for the country as well, and for the family of Odinga. During this trying moment, it will seem the people have already been informed that the gun carriage they were expecting to carry the casket of the ODM leader Raila Odinga, manned by KDF, will not be used at this particular instance to save on time. That is what some of the leaders, even Paul Otomo was talking earlier, the governor of Busia, so as to pay the last respects and to ensure many people are able to see the body of the ODM leader Raila Odinga. Then after this particular short ceremony that will be carried out to Mamboleo grounds, the body viewing will continue till late in the afternoon, where the body is expected once more to be airlifted from Kisumu all the way to Bondo, Siaya, for the final resting place of Raila Odinga, and for the family as well, given that Kango Kajaramogi in Siaya County is the homestead where Raila Odinga's father, the late independence icon Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, was laid to rest in 1994. Raila mothers as well, Mary Juma Odinga, who was also buried in the family graveyard. Now, Buru's intervention is seen to be a decisive moment, given that he went there after the body arrived into the country, and of course giving his last respects before he headed over to the homestead of Raila Odinga in Opoda Farm, where he officially even opened the house so that the people can come in and mourn with the family, given that now, substantively now, he is the head of the family. And now we are waiting to see as and when that particular aircraft will leave the Kisumu International Airport. Already, given that the timeline's already set, the body was expected at the stadium at exactly 8. Now it is 16 minutes past 8 a.m. in the morning. The body exactly left a few minutes after 6 a.m. at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, carried by a Kenya Air Force aircraft, and now it will be set up in the Kenya Air Force helicopters there, And you can see already celebrations inside there, Millie, at the Mamboleo grounds, people carrying those leaves.
Yes.
The energy of not only this community, but the supporters of the ODM leader, Raila Odinga, is something to revel at.
It is true. It is true, because that is just the love that they've had for the gentleman. And I think the opportunity to express themselves, he allows them, he has always allowed his people to express themselves, whether you are the kind who believe in doing so vocally, or you are the kind who want to do it by way of dancing. You remember even this, there was a person who died some years ago, and he had been a staunch supporter. He always used to paint himself in those colors.
Yes.
And Raila was there with him even at that time, was with the family. So I think it's a good thing. As you mentioned already, Oburu, who has always been the head of the family, after the father passed away, went and did a very, very important traditional role, where he declares that this has happened, and so that the official mourning and officially people can confirm that this has happened, and now the preparations are in place, and so that the elders can also confirm. The key thing normally that needs to be done is to identify the burial spot.
Yes.
So it's good that he was able to set that officially in motion, so that even though it is a state funeral, you do not forget that this is a person who comes from a family, from a home, from a community with traditions. And the family and kinsmen are given that opportunity to also play their part in ensuring that that is done. I'm glad, as you said, that the leadership of ODM is playing a very key role there. I would have liked to see Senator Osotsi, who is also one of the members of the funeral committee, and is also one of the deputy party leaders, if I'm not wrong, of ODM. It would have been good to also see him there, but I'm glad to see that at least Governor Otuoma is there. So that we know also that ODM has got its key leadership out there. And I say this because remember that the Deputy President stated, I think in his first address to the nation, or in the second, that they would work together with the ODM structures to ensure that there was security, you know, and that there was some form of control. So knowing that the ODM leadership is playing a key role will reassure us that there's likely to be that security, because they were supposed to work together with the funeral committee and the government structures to see that there's that control and that security, because we do not want to see what happened in Kasarani at all. Again, not for Raila. And we would want as much as possible to respect Oburu's cry and plea to us that we should not tear gas Raila in his death.
Yes, he has been tear gassed too much.
He has been tear gassed
in his
enough.
lifetime. That is what Oburu was clearly stating. Now, the Kisumu International Airport officials and KDF as well, especially military police, are clearing the vicinity around that particular aircraft you're seeing on your screen, where the members of the State Funeral Committee, being spearheaded by the Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki and co-chaired by Senator Oburu Oginga, have decided that it will be airlifted from Kisumu International Airport all the way to Mamboleo grounds. At the middle of the pitch, we have already witnessed one aircraft that has brought members of the cloth and a sheikh inside the Mamboleo grounds. That is the same manner that the body will be taken out. Of course, we expect